Hi team, welcome to the Crater Room Ultra 2024 Season 1, Episode 3, brought to you by Team CP NZ Media, your endurance coaching specialist. We're going to wrap up the Crater Room Ultra today, and we've got a super cool lineup for you as well. We're going to chat to Chris Pike, the race director, and get the inside scoop of everything that happened on the race and sort of really wrap things up. We're also going to chat to Scott Emmens, who conquered the 53K in the 50 to 59 men's category, snagging an impressive third place. So looking forward to having a chat to Scott. We're also going to chat to Rose Pearson, who had an epic finish in the Crater Room Ultra, second overall in the women's, and also a victory in an age group and 11th overall, which is pretty impressive too. And we're also going to have a chat to our very own Guise, who managed to take home the glory in the men's Bellbird Buster 30K event. So yeah, lots to get through, lots of stories to be told and shared. And yeah, strap yourself in and grab the hydration pack. Let's hit the ground running. How are you getting on, Grant?
Yeah, good, Richard. Yeah, not too bad. Yourself?
Yeah, good, thanks. Good, thanks. I'm guessing my legs are probably feeling better than yours. We're sort of, how many, 3 days, 3 sleeps after finishing?
Yeah, I mean they're feeling better today than they were on Monday morning. I
Yeah,
almost fell over getting out of bed on Monday morning. So
that's a good sign. Good sign.
yeah,
A good
it
bit of
was
effort has gone
it
on.
was pretty tender. Yeah.
Good, good, good. You were somebody going into the event that I guess you've got a pretty good running resume. You've done lots of different stuff over time, but coming into this event in your own mind, probably a bit undercooked. So nice to see that you put a decent effort in and those legs are a bit gassed at the end of it.
Yeah. I mean, I guess mostly surprising that I was able to put a decent effort in. But I think, yeah, I mean, afterwards there was, I was like, oh, I guess I'm fit enough to run hard, but I'm not fit enough to recover well. Was my take home the next day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, that's the big difference between being, in really good shape and just kind of, being able to fake it a little bit.
Yeah,
Is
nice.
yeah, the recovery. So
Yeah,
yeah.
okay, that's right. You're still human. That's good. But you've won this event before. Was it 2019? Is that the last time you were
Yeah,
at?
2019. Yeah,
Yep,
yeah.
yeah. Good.
Um,
And since then, you've sort of kind of put the ultra running sort of things to the side a little bit. Got into bike packing missions, and until a few months ago, until you sort of got back into the swing of a bit of run training. Would that be fair? Tell us a little
yeah,
bit about
yeah,
what you've been up to.
yeah. I mean, I probably like, yeah, 4 years ago, I really had buttoned off running and wasn't running that much anymore, having being a very I guess, yeah, totally identified as a runner for the best part of my 30s or all of my 30s. I was very much a runner. And then, yeah, I don't know, just kind of, for lack of a better word, kind of got bored with it.
Right.
Yeah, and that says more about me than running or the events or whatever. But I mean, I was still taken away. Like, I was still running here and there, but nothing crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to do the Mount Difficulty race like every year, and that's like
Yep.
40K. So that was, kind of every April, May for a couple of years. I'd try and
Go to
do
another
some
crack.
consistent running. But yeah, I mean, but not a whole lot. Yeah, I think I looked at Strava on Sunday night, and the average was 30K a week for the last 4 weeks.
Okay.
Um, and that included the 30K that I just run that week. So yeah, it wasn't like I'd been doing a whole lot. And I guess it's all relative, but yeah, it
Yeah,
didn't
good on
feel
you.
like a lot, I guess.
Good on you.
Yeah.
So you went in, like you've won it, 5 years ago, having another crack at it now. Expectations were pretty low. So tell us about the strategy. How did you sort of look to line up to go and have a crack at this? Were you expecting to
Yeah,
go
I
well?
mean,
What were your thoughts?
no, not at all. I don't even know why I entered. I can't even remember why. I think it was
Well, it's
you
because I
and
told you to. I don't know. We got your
yeah,
free
I think it
entry,
was you
Chris.
and Chris giving me a hard time in that
Yeah.
first
So come on,
podcast.
Grant.
But I
Lift
mean,
your game.
I'd broken my leg in November, so I didn't really start running again properly until May, when I got some pins out of my lower leg. So expectations were super low, and it was like to start out early, and I was like, I'll just walk all the hills and eat as much as I can during the run.
Yep.
So that was pretty much the only strategy I had. yeah, like when Chris is calling us up to the start, I got like a little giddy and, creeped up a little bit closer than what I thought I was going to be, but I was still like 4 rows back or something. It wasn't like I was on the front of the
Yeah,
race.
yeah,
I was probably in that pack when we started. I feel like I was the first person to start walking up that hill,
yeah.
and walked the whole way, for sure. When people around me were running and stuff, so I was definitely just trying to pace myself the whole way.
I think it just shows the importance of pacing yourself, number one, and nutrition, number two, is the most key important things in any endurance events, isn't it? If you're doing that well and not getting too caught up with the excitement that Chris and the team create on the start line and all the enthusiasm and other people around, if you're kind of just able to do your thing, looking to build through it, hey, then you get to actually run to your potential, which it sounds like you did.
Yeah, yeah, totally. I mean, and that's the thing is like I ran, I guess, to my potential or exceeded my potential really, because for that particular race, my potential was quite low, really, like considering how little I trained. But yeah, it's just you get to the start line and you just gotta, put your ego in a box for the day and just like, I don't know, leave your ego at home and just turn up and just start out nice and easy and feel. I'd yeah, ask any of the people that I'm coaching and they'll, I'm sure they'll agree that the one thing that I go on and on about is pacing and nutrition.
Good on you. Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter how good your training is if you blow yourself to bits in the first quarter of the race, either by going too hard or by not having any fuel, you're going to be in trouble. So,
Mhm.
and it was funny, even just pacing myself, what I felt was quite comfortable. I still got onto the Gibby's Road crossing and probably like 12th place, which was like ridiculous. Like I thought I'd get there in like 50th or something. Like it was quite surprising.
Yeah.
Yeah, just being conservative, but I don't know. I
And then
guess
you kind of continued to
yeah,
run through the field. What happened after that?
yeah, yeah, yeah. And then it just, I mean, I remember actually saying the first guy that I caught up to, he was walking up that bit of single track there, and I was like, "Oh, that's great, you're walking. I don't feel bad that I'm walking. Like this is awesome,"
Yeah.
and just stayed behind. Like really tried to stay behind people for as long as I could, and just hung back. I remember laughing to myself. It's not trying to be mean, but there was one guy. He was like, "Oh, it's been 45 minutes. I should have something to eat." And I just remember thinking, like, I remember being like that. Like, I'd just, not eat very frequently. And I was like,
Yeah.
it's going to be tough for that guy, like if
He's
he's
already.
lived it this long.
Mm.
But yeah, just working through people. I think that first aid station, like 10K, I'm looking back, I must have been around ninth, and I remember catching a guy there, and he ran away from me on a climb. Like I just was like, no, I'm just going to walk this climb, and he
Yeah.
just ran away. But then caught him again, like on the next climb. Passed him and another guy on the descent into the adventure park down Body Bag,
Yeah.
and then coming back over the opposite way on the return trip. That's I was told I was like 5 or 5.5 minutes behind first, and in like seventh, and I was like, that's actually not that far. Like I was quite surprised, like considering how relatively I hadn't put in that much effort. It didn't feel
Yeah.
like I felt really fresh still, which
Yeah.
was a surprise. Given the longest run I've done in over a year has been like 20K. I was amazed how fresh I felt at that point.
Good.
So
And when did you catch up
yeah.
with first? Where was that happening? How did that unfold? Because you won the whole
It all got a bit crazy once we jumped into at the Kiwi there and started climbing up the Sugarloaf, because that's
Yeah.
when we went into the 22K race.
Okay. Right.
And then you just like you don't know who's who. It's
Yeah.
all of a sudden I got to look at like three people in front of me within like 2 minutes, like right before then. So I was like, okay, that's you're trying to do the math. It's like, yeah, that's six.
Yeah.
5 and 4 right there. I was like, okay, well, top five should be totally doable.
Yeah.
Maybe I could get top three. That'd be kind of
Yeah.
cool.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
wow. And then I caught Brad the Butcher, Brad from
Oh,
Horswell
brilliant.
Butchers.
Yep. Hmm.
Yeah, local shout out. Shop local.
Yeah. Good job.
Brad, I caught him just at the Sugarloaf there, where the Speed Freaks hang out.
Yep.
Their aid station. And I ran behind him for a bit, and he was like, I think fifth is right in front of us. I was like, oh, sweet, that's great. And then went past those two guys, and I think I must have been passing not long after that, fourth or third. I'm not really sure because there's so many people. And then I caught up to a mate, Odie, which
Yes.
is probably the highlight of the race for me because I went past, I seen him, and I ran up beside him, and I was like, "Hey!" And he turned with a smile, and when he seen it was me, his face just dropped. So
Okay.
that is, it's a beautiful thing, just seeing, all, people's hopes and dreams just vanish as you go
Oh,
outside
poor
them.
Odie. That's so rough because I know Odie
Oh,
well.
it is
He's a
rough,
great
but
guy. So, yeah.
what can I say? But he ran amazing. Like, I was just like,
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't shake him for a while. Actually, he just stuck behind me all the way around Vernon, and then just after Rapeki, I caught a guy, and he asked if I was doing the 30K, and it's like, yeah, and well, I don't have many strengths, right? I haven't got too many cards to play in this race because I haven't trained very well. So I was like, well, I can try and mess with people. So I asked him, oh, do you think we're in the top 10 yet? And he just kind of like looked at me very, unimpressed, and was like, yeah, we're first and second. It's like, oh, cool. And ran off. Um, kind of
Classic.
just trying to play it down, but the whole time just like freaking out because it seemed like such a ridiculous position to be in, to be honest.
Yeah.
So yeah, and just it was pretty cool. Ran up to Castle Rock on the new bit of the course. That was fun. I haven't ran that bit of trail in ages. So that was good. And then a mate, Brent, and his daughter were up there. It was like her birthday. So that was kind of cool to see them hanging out, supporting people. And then, the new part, is it through Duncan Mary Park? I think Chris will be able to tell us. That was really cool. That was nice. And the valley was brutal. I almost wish like we were going down Rapaki, like trying to pass people, like running terrified
Yeah.
because you don't know how far the next person is behind you, and you're trying to pass all
Yes,
these people
yes,
on this
yes, yes.
narrow bit of single track. I was like, oh man, give me a Rapaki. Like it would be
Yeah,
so
just
much
so you can
easier right
open
now.
up and get it done. Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. So
yeah,
without trying to
so,
be, not pushing past people, but you're trying to rip it down there because you're running scared
oh,
at that stage.
yeah, but I was, my lack of fitness was really showing at this point. I didn't have to, like, at first I was kind of like trail runner, but I didn't have to do that by the end because my breathing was so labored. People, I think, could just hear me coming, and like
This
concern
beer
on
coming
their
down the
faces.
hill.
They stood aside as this
Oh my
like
god.
struggling person was running down. But yeah, so it was pretty cool. It was pretty
No, that's
amusing,
great.
honestly. Like, it was quite funny getting across the finish line. Like, my wife and kids were there, just like, what? Like, how is
What
this
have you done?
possible? And
Yeah, so good.
Rocky. It's not very often you get to silence Rocky. Like, he was short of things to say, so that was quite good.
Yeah, wicked.
Coming across the finish line, he didn't know what to say. So yeah, no, it was good fun, and just such a good event. Like,
Yeah.
like the amount of like marshals and support out on course, like, because it's such a local race and it's so accessible. Like, I was just seeing all kinds of people out
Mhm.
on course. So it was really cool. Like, that was
Yeah.
super impressive.
Yeah. And it's
Whether it's
easy
people
access for
biking.
spectators and things, isn't it? People can get up there on the
Yeah,
course.
yeah, yeah. Like, there was people like biking along that Summit Road, just like every little bit along the Summit Road, you'd see them, which was really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then there was, just people set up with, deck chairs and hanging out. I seen a couple of different friends out there with their kids. So it was just, it was really cool race. And then, you get to the finish, and they've really made, it's been a while since I've kind of been there with a runner's mindset on.
Yeah.
And it's impressive. It's really come a long way. It's definitely come a long way from when I first did it in like 2009, and it was,
Yeah. Very good.
started and finished in St. Martin's School, which was cool too. That was a good event too, but it's
Yeah.
definitely progressed from that. Yeah.
Yeah. Good job. Super cool, and cool for you to be able to start at that sort of, I'm just going to go and enjoy my day here, through to, oh my gosh, this has just happened. And we talk a lot about expectations, and it can really dampen the fun factor when we're out there, when we put too many expectations on ourselves as part of that. Obviously, you had a few strategies for that in terms of how you started and how you got underway. But I also want to just throw this up on the screen. Maybe it was a typo, maybe it wasn't, but there was no Grant Guise actually on the position number one. There was this Thomas Grant character Do you want anything to say to that? There's been a bit of chat around that. Scott might have something to say about that a little bit later on. But Thomas Grant, who's that guy?
Well, those names are on my birth certificate, to be fair. Uh, yeah, I was filling out the form and I don't know, it was like the autofill or something came up and I was just
Sure,
like,
sure.
actually, I'm
Yeah.
gonna leave that. That's sweet, actually. That's quite nice.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's a couple of people I told like on the Friday or the Saturday that I was running, and they kind of didn't believe me.
Yeah.
And then I realized it was probably a total pain in the ass for everybody else.
Oh, that
But
it sounds like
yeah,
you've got a
it was quite amusing. Yeah,
sounds like you got a new superhero name. Just put the
yeah,
Thomas Grant.
yeah. I guess it's working out.
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
I was always
Yeah.
embarrassed of my middle name, to be fair. So I guess I'm just
Until
owning
now.
it now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, exactly. No, that's
yeah.
good. Brilliant.
But no,
Yeah,
it was quite
but
funny.
I mean
It
that is,
was funny when people were saying "Go Thomas" to me, and I was like, "What are they talking about?"
oh, this is someone
And then
passing me. What's going on?
yeah. Then I figured it out. So yeah.
Yeah, no, that's good. I mean, it is a thing though, isn't it? Like if your expectations are really high and you want to do something, it actually just ruins the fun factor or can ruin the fun factor of an event because you're just under pressure the whole time. Whereas at the end of the day, you're doing it for yourself. And if you get your pacing strategy right, well, then you should be able to sort of execute that as you want, which is what you did on the day. And it just so happened that you ended
Yeah,
up being first.
yeah, which was not part of the plan at all. But that's totally it. Like for me, I've had without going into it, it's been an interesting relationship with running the last few years. I haven't really felt like much of a runner for a while, and unfortunately, you convinced me to do some coaching for you, which is even worse. That hasn't helped me with my running identity. Uh, I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
I've got to do some running now. But yeah, so it's been kind of a funny one, and then obviously like you break your leg, you don't run for properly for 5 months, and there's been a few other things going on this year that I thought I was going to train for this a little bit more, and I didn't. So in the end, it ended up being really good for me because there was no pressure. Like I wasn't even there, in
Good,
my mind,
good.
a lot of ways, like I wasn't there.
Yep.
And I knew I was going to have like a really, like, doesn't even matter, just finishing it in a time. Like if I think, I was 12th or something when we got off that first climb. And I was like, I can't, like, this is a success. Like I'm calling this a success already. We're 10K into the race, or less than 10K into the race. And I
Yep.
was so stoked. So, if that's your level for success, I guess the rest of the day is just a bonus. And that was kind
Mm.
of how I approached it. I was like, okay, well now let's see how many people I can get past. I wonder how many people I can catch. And then the next one, I said to myself, okay, how about we make a goal that no one else passes you neither? Like that's going to be a next goal.
That's
It was like mid-race, I'm just adding all these different things into it. Like, oh, maybe it can be top 5, maybe it can be top 3. And the whole time, just trying to keep it entertaining for myself.
Yeah, good job, good job. So, as a dad and as a Team CP coach as well, how did the kids go and how did your athletes go? You had a few others out there that you were cheering on as well?
Yeah. Both my kids, they did the 6K, which was really cool. Um, and Zach, my youngest, he smoked it. He did great. He was very happy with himself. Because he beat his big sister and he beat his big sister's best friend and he beat another friend's daughter, and he was just like, yeah, I beat everyone that I wanted to. So just classic little brother
Yeah,
move.
perfect.
And I think he was third in his age group or something, and Isabella
Awesome.
was second behind her best friend, and she was stoked with that. I think she got the stitch, so she had a little bit of a rough
Oh, yeah.
time on the downhill, but no, they really enjoyed it. They're stoked just to, they love going to an event and being a part of it, and
Mhm.
so when they can partake, it's good fun. And then I had Samantha, who was doing her first 30K.
Yep.
So that was pretty exciting. Been working with her over the winter, and yeah, she doesn't like the heat. which I can sympathize with. So she found it a bit tough. And like so many people, I think in the heat, people start struggling with nutrition and eating. So she had a hard time eating, which is a bit rough. But she got it done. She did really well. She's relatively young and kind of young to the the running scene.
Yep.
But no, she did great. So it was really cool actually. I was there when she finished, so that was really cool. It
Oh,
was
cool.
nice to
That's
see
awesome.
her get across the finish line, and yeah, she was stoked. So it was good. And then Ben, who's another young guy, even younger, we just kind of started working with him. So as much as I'd like to take the credit for his result, I don't know. I don't know how if I can, because it's only been like maybe 6 weeks I've been working with him. But he actually did the Abel Tasman a week earlier,
Mhm.
and he had a rough time with pacing and nutrition. But he backed it up and he won the New Zealand Mountain Running Champs 6K for I think
Awesome.
under 19.
Cool.
So yeah, that was really cool. He got some cool Athletics New Zealand medals, and I think possibly that means he's. I haven't actually managed to catch up with him properly post race, but I think that
Mhm.
means he might be eligible for World Mountain Running Champs for that youth division. So
Cool.
yeah, if that's the case, it will be super exciting from a coaching perspective.
Yeah.
But yeah, no,
Yeah.
he did great as well. So yeah, it was really cool. I mean, it was, I hung out for ages. I came home briefly and had a shower and went back. But it was so cool just seeing all these people, whether it was people that I knew, whether it was people that I was coaching, or whether it
Mhm.
was
Mhm.
the guy that finished after like almost 12 hours who I'd never seen before puking on the finish line. Like it was awesome, like it's
Yeah.
just so cool seeing all these people get it done.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Really impressive. Like so many people are at the race. So yeah.
Yeah, so good, Grant. No, that's super cool and cool to be part of it and cool to be able to hang out at the finish line and just really appreciate and give a whole bunch of high fives out and have some fun. We're going to crack on. We've got Scott Emmens keen to jump in. We're going to jump straight to you there, Scott. How are you getting on?
Yeah, pretty good, thank you. Yes,
That's the story.
big shoes to follow on from though, Thomas Grant.
Yes, it is indeed. Scott, tell us a little bit about your running background. 53 Ks, third in the age group, in the 50 to 60 odd age group, and obviously your knees are still good. That's good.
Yeah, it's surprising, isn't it, at this age, at the ripe old age of 55 years young.
Okay, good on you.
Yep, slowing down though, I have to admit, it is starting to get more painful, but the knees are all right. Just got some dodgy ankles going on. So I've actually been to the physio this afternoon to start recovering with those, but pulled up pretty good after the event. Sore quads, and today I'm walking freely and stuff, but I'm not quite ready for a run.
Brilliant. Oh, that's good. Just a few sleeps afterwards, and you're still moving well. That's good. Not hobbling around like John Wayne for a week. That's a good result.
No. I at my work we have some stairs to walk up and down, so I am struggling getting down those. Or actually, that's wrong. I was yesterday struggling getting down them, but today I seem to be fine. So
well done.
Yep,
well done.
pretty chuffed with how it all went.
Good result. Good work. Tell us about your highlight of the event, Scott. What was your highlight for you when you're out there over the weekend?
I'd have to say that it was finishing. It was. Yeah. I found it brutal. Harder than I had anticipated it would be. Like harder on my body. I was expecting the event to be tough, and I'd trained pretty hard for it. And I feel a little bit not disappointed, but I feel it was harder than I had anticipated for me. But I think that's honestly down to the heat for me. I probably got a little bit dehydrated. I tried to stay on top of that, but that first 20K section is hard to carry enough fluids. I did top up my water bottles at the pack horse hut, which did help. But that was pretty brutal. And then of course you've got that next big climb, which was hot. So but yeah, I think the highlight was finishing because there are a couple of stages where I didn't think I was going to.
Yeah, good. So tell us about that. I always enjoy this is a bit of a grovel moment. What was the toughest section or toughest moment or time for you during the race?
That freaking going down the adventure park and then turning around and coming back up. I was kind of looking forward to that, but I got down to the bottom and turned around, and my first step on the uphill track proper, where it gets really gravelly, it's big chunky gravel, and my foot slipped a little bit, and straight away my hamstring went into the beginnings of a cramp.
Oh no!
And I'm like, holy shit,
down.
dude!
That's not good.
You've got a long way to manage that. And I heard at the finish line so many people say the same thing. They got to the bottom of that uphill and started to cramp. And it actually didn't come to anything for me, thankfully. I just sort of managed it, but I knew it was there the whole time. So I think that was probably the hardest point. And getting to the top of that, I was like, God, there's a long way to go. But just, I don't know, everything sort of came right. When I saw my wife at the 30K, must be the 30K? No, the 40K aid station at Sugarloaf. I was pretty broken there, feeling a little bit worse for wear, and caught up with another guy, another Scott that I know there, and there's no way he should have been there when I was there. And I was like, Scott, what are you doing here? And he was like, who's that?
That's so good.
And I said, it's Scott. And he was like, oh, I'm having a terrible day. And then I heard a lot of people after that sort of commented about having a tough day because it was so hot. So, but the views, I mean, that's another highlight for me around the top end of the harbour. The views are phenomenal. I didn't take my phone out and take one photo. I was pretty focused on getting the job done, but in my mind, there were some phenomenal views, and I think I'll remember that for a wee while.
Yeah,
we had such a good day.
Yeah, good. Had you done similar running events before in ultra? Is this your first one?
No, I've done a couple of ultras before. This is the first time I've done this one. I'd never been that keen on it. I don't even know why I ended up signing up for it. I do, but I'm pleased I did. I've done the Kepler a couple of times, and I went over and did that Resilience Ultra over in Reefton. That was really good. Another tough one. A couple of others over the years. It's certainly not my first rodeo, Richard. Been doing this sort of thing for a couple of years.
Yes. It was good to catch up with you before we went on the show. Actually, Scott, I haven't got you in a long time. It's awesome.
Yeah, good. I was just saying to the physio today that the issue that I have with my ankle, I think, started when I busted that particular ankle in 2002. We worked out that was so 23 years ago, and I've sort of carried on doing all of these crazy events. Not always running, but a fair bit of cycling as well. So I've been doing these silly events for a long time.
It's good. Will you be back? Is there another Scott to be running around the course?
Today, no. I think I've done that. I'm happy with it, but I think I've got some recuperation to do on my body. So I've been having this ankle issue for it's been really bad for the last month, and it's been on and off sore for the last year or so. So I need to get that sorted first. I need to start getting a little bit stronger. I was just discussing with my wife this evening on the dog walk that I've got to that point in my life in my 50s that I realize that I do need to do some strength training. We all know that you're supposed to when you get into your 40s and 50s, and how you get weak. Well, that's finally caught up with me, I think. You can rely on fitness for only so long. Time to do some rehab.
Nice, that's good. And before we wrap up, Grant, have you got any other questions to put to Scott?
I definitely do.
That's good.
Was there any point in your race on Sunday when you're having some hard moments? Did you ever think, I should have listened to Grant when he said just do the 30K? Did that ever come up?
It didn't actually pop into my mind, but I did think about doing the 30K several times. Although the 30K course, it's still pretty brutal. I mean, you still had that cow You still got to enjoy the dead
Still had
cow.
that was going to be my next question.
You know, that was almost a highlight for me.
I get the feeling that Chris might have planted that there.
It was there on the recce run, and somebody did ask him if he thought the farmer would remove it, and he's like, I doubt it. And I was thinking, it will have exploded and, decomposed by the time we got there. That was 6 weeks ago, but no, it was still ready to blow. Yeah. So no, Grant, I didn't think of you actually until Joe said to me that she'd seen you at Rapaki. Had I known that you were in the lead at that point, I probably would have vomited. But anyway.
Nice work.
And how are your ribs? Because we chatted a little bit a few weeks pre-race, and you had a little oopsie on your ribs.
3 weeks out for my final long adventure run. I decided to go up Mount Oxford and then down to Wharfdale Hut and then back out the Wharfdale track. And 19 k's in, I had a wee tumble and really slammed myself and badly bruised some ribs. Jumped up and thought I'd be all right, but quickly felt rather faint, so I had to sit down and put my head between my knees and decide some life choices at that moment. And the ribs were really, really sore, so I had to walk out from there. So as a result of that, there was a week or so off running, but I mean, it was what it was, and the ribs have come right after a couple of weeks off. So yeah.
Good job.
Did you feel like that impacted your week off running? But looking back with hindsight, do you think that week, was it super negative? Did you lose lots, or was that potentially like extra rest, extra recovery?
I think physically it was fine. Mentally, I mean, as you guys, as athletes know that's really hard. But at no point did I think I've blown it. That's it. It's not going to happen. I'm not going to do what I was hoping to do. I think that has come with maturity as well, or with age, is that there's nothing I could do about it. So I just had to rest, and I'm also prepared to rest. So if I'm sore, I'm going to stop and do nothing until I recovered. I did try running about 5 days later and got 1.5 k's in, and it was too painful. At that point, I was like, oh, maybe there's something worse going on here. But about 3 days later, I'd actually bounced back a lot more. So that was fine. I mean, it's all about that expectation that you were talking about earlier in your time slot. You had not no expectations, but your expectations were easier to achieve. I had expectations on Sunday. They're always your own personal expectations. In my age group, I always think, I hope I can do pretty well. A podium would be nice. Then you see Heath de Garnham on the start list and you're like, there's the first place podium gone. But yeah, I didn't know who else was in my age group going into it. But, I managed to sneak in a third, so I'm feeling pretty happy with that. And I finished 10 or 15 minutes after my goal time. So I'm pretty happy with that.
Given the heat, that's it's pretty good.
Yeah, thank you.
The conditions are so bad. How did you know? Did you know where you were within the race or within your age category during the race?
Not within my age category. There was an old bloke who looked old, went past me, and I thought, he's definitely in my age group. Like when you're in the 40 to 49, that's hard to tell age, because some young people look old, look 40. But when you're in my age group, over 50, it's much easier to tell your competitors. Although, actually, that's probably not true. Heath de Garnham, he's a very young-looking 50-year-old. No, I had no idea where I was in my age group, but within the field, when I'd gone into the farm, I got told I was 58th overall. And I was like, I'm surprised at that. And ended up 46th or 47th. So I think I must have paced it all right. And by the time I got off Witch Hill, I don't think anybody passed me, and I was definitely ticking off people. But of course, you're well into the 30K people at that stage, so it's a little bit hard to know who's in the 53. But I managed to smash it down. Smash it. I mean, that's all relative, of course. For me, I smashed it down the valley track. It was hurting a lot, but passing lots of people down there was fun.
How hard was that, like, K down the road?
Oh, mate.
Like freshly paved.
You mean the mountain
like
up Vernon,
gravel.
whatever it is, Vernon Street.
Yeah.
I had to walk a couple of those steep uphills. on Vernon Terrace it is. Vernon Terrace, there's two very steep.
I was just like, oh my God, I can't believe how long this thing goes on for. And I ran it, like I did a shakeout with Samantha, who I'm coaching, on Saturday afternoon. Like we just ran the road out and back, just to orientate ourselves. And God, Saturday afternoon, I couldn't believe how long. Sunday afternoon, 24 hours later, they'd lengthened it by like, it was 3 times longer.
And it was like Everest.
Another bonus from Chris. That's it's so much goes on as a race director. Hey, thank you so much, Scott.
No
fantastic. At the end of the day, what we're trying to decide as a in the 50-year-old category is that you've still got it, and I have to say that you've still got it. So that's a big tick in the box. You've done well.
Thanks, mate.
Yeah,
and good to see you both, and good to see you there, Thomas Grant.
Yeah, nice.
Good to be here.
Yeah, well done. Cheers, Scott. Thank you.
All right.
Cheers, mate.
Just like that. And Rose is in the backstage. We're going to bring Rose straight on. She's been doing some limbering up in the background, doing those exercises that Scott should have been doing. Rose, how you doing? Oops, we might be muted there, Rose. Unmute.
Muted.
Good, thanks. Always good to be on the balance board.
The balance board is what was happening. Oh, well done. That's good. Nice work. How are you getting on? How's the body post-race for you?
Yeah, good. A little bit tight, but I guess I'm a bit younger, so it was all good down the stairs the next day. But it was pretty easy to get the heart rate up if I tried to do anything quickly, like stand up too fast or walk around too fast, anything like that. Nice.
You did say you went running on the Tuesday straight after.
Yeah, that definitely immediately felt like a really bad idea. But so I had surgery 9 weeks out from the race, and we normally have a Tuesday run group, and I'd missed all the sort of the Tuesday runs over the last 9 weeks. So I was really keen to see all my mates. I went along for the sort of social aspect, and then I was like, oh, maybe I should cut it short. No, I'll just hang on.
Okay, yeah, good stuff. Well, that's good. So you'll be back for next week now that you've got this shoulder a bit better, obviously.
And a bit more recovered post-race.
Yeah, right. So shoulder, did that affect you during your race when you're sort of rehabbing that and getting going again?
Yeah, I'd say it didn't affect me. Well, I guess it affected my race plan because I couldn't fall over. Otherwise, it'd be all for nothing.
Line for that. Okay, yeah.
But in terms of how it felt, it was strong enough to do that run. I guess it more affected the lead up. So I was in a sling for the first 5 weeks post operation. So I was out of a sling 4 weeks pre-race, and so I kind of had to manage how much I could run immediately after coming out of. So I was running probably the 7 weeks prior, and then figured I'd do a bit focus on the legs so I didn't go too crazy, and did some body weight exercises, stuff like that, and then came up with a race or a training plan for myself. I guess it worked all right.
Obviously did work there pretty well. That's good. That's fantastic. We talked a bit about expectations on this podcast. What were your expectations going into the event? What were your goals, and what did you want to try and achieve?
I always want to have fun, but probably this time the first goal was not to fall over, and then it was to have fun.
Okay.
And then I guess I thought I'd try now nutrition because I've actually done this event. This is my 5th time.
Okay.
And the last time I definitely blew myself up a little bit. The last back end because I sort of had mucked up nutrition. I'd sort of, I think, gotten the balance of fuel to electrolytes a bit off. I wanted to nail that. And then I'd love to break 6 hours at some point. So that was my goal time. But I also thought, well, bit unrealistic, because that'd be a PB for me, given we'd see how it went, but stoked with how everything went.
Good job. That's fantastic. 53Ks can become a bit unfun when you're running for more than 6 hours around that sort of mark. So was it fun? Did we achieve our goal? How much smiling and
it was just glorious
the whole time? Any dark
you
moments?
had some. I was trying to think, and no, there weren't any. Like it was. I mean, sure, it was like, a bit tired here, but not as bad as, one of the other times I did it, or like, I'm still out here and I'm able to do this. I can't believe I'm able to like run this. I was glad that I have an honesty policy with physios, and I was glad I had that, as I did see my physio kind of halfway through. It was like, oh, hey, and that might have been awkward, but it wasn't, because I'd let her know. So even that was fun.
Okay. I feel that was lucky. Was she doing, or was your physio, doing the race, or were they?
No, she was supporting a mate of hers doing the lining up for the 10K. Mountain champs.
Not just out there checking in to see how many of patients that were running that probably shouldn't have been.
Yeah, well, maybe. I'm not sure. Yeah.
Handing out business cards.
Yeah, well, she should have been. Yeah, shout out to Mary Gray. She's an excellent physio.
Oh, Mary's awesome. Yeah, that's so good. That's fantastic. Nice work. And how did you do your nutrition? Like over 6 hours, how do you break that up over the course of an ultra run for you? I mean, we talk about eating food. Sometimes that's tricky because we're huffing and puffing so much, but then it's also making sure you don't get hungry. And then also gels and things, all that sort of stuff can become pretty hard work as well. So how did you do it? How did you do your nutrition on race day?
So maybe I'll just start with a bit of history. I used to try have solids at the start and like cram myself full of food. And then I had a few races a couple years ago where something went wrong for whatever reason. And I realized I could run with a whole bunch less food. And then for a while, a couple years, probably up until this race, it's like, maybe, it's a lot lighter if you've got less food, less fluids. So this time I kind of almost turned it back around to the start. So I guess I started with pre-fuel. I took the ferry over, so I was up 2.5 hours ahead of the race. So I had breakfast before going to the ferry, and had like an egg on the ferry, and then also bought a bottle of Tailwind to drink before. And I think, ate one of my muesli bars, and then I had muesli bars kind of through Gibby's Pass. So tried the smallish ones, but took in 4 and had a litre of fluids, so half Tailwind, half water. And then I topped up with, I'd stash some gels in another muesli bar or 2, and then also like refilled Tailwind and water. So did another litre, and then went on to Pierre and water at the next aid station. And I would have had I guess at that point I was probably a gel every 45 minutes. So I had 4 to kind of ration through. And then I thought, okay, I'll see how I'm going. I'll either refill up with water. And because it was hot, like I was planning to do a litre and then less fluid thereafter. But because it was so hot, I just did a litre at each of them. So I had basically 4 litres for the whole race, which is way more than last time I did it. I brought 1 soft flask. Which
wow. Okay.
So a bit of a change in mindset.
Yeah, which must have made a difference in terms of how you're feeling towards the back end, and you still
totally
be able to run to your potential.
Yeah, exactly. To my potential with my race plan, which was like I had to stay in control. But it did mean I got to open up on the. I've been kind of. I got to open up going down the valley track, which I love downhill technical descents. So I was wrapped that I could kind of,
heaps down there rather than just
free things up. Yeah, exactly, and do whatever stupid overtakes I wanted while being careful and not falling.
Yes, good. I can see Grant leaning forward. He's got a question there.
Well, I was just wondering, you guys had a super close race, and you're saying you're opening up on that descent. Were you? I remember they announced it over the loudspeaker, and then obviously I was there when you guys came in. Did you know how close you were? Like, I don't know, going down the valley track or at that last aid station at the top of Rapaki, Sugarloaf? Were you getting time updates?
Yeah, I had a pretty decent idea. So I think I got the first. So we came to the Gibby's Pass aid station together. So I'm usually I'm usually a bit further back in the women's pack, getting to the top of Herbert, and then I almost always kind of get to my highest placing coming off where it's technical, even this time when I was being a bit careful. So I ended up in first at some point, but I was probably some point after Sign of the Pack Horse, and then And then someone was like, "Oh, you're in first place." I was like, "Oh, wow, that's pretty cool." Because I didn't necessarily expect that. And Katie obviously knew too, so she caught me going into the aid station and sort of set off faster than me. So I kind of knew at that point, like, okay. And the next time I saw her was at the bottom of the body bag descent. And I think she was probably I think I like narrowed that to a minute or two, but prior to that, it would have been, maybe 2 or 3 minutes. And then, I saw her a couple more times on the course, so I could just like mark where she was and kind of check with the time. So I think I was like 3 minutes or so at the turnaround point at Castle Rock. 3 to 3:20 maybe, and I finished kind of 1:50 maybe.
You were coming,
I think. Yeah, so I cut into it, but yeah, it would have been a pretty tall order. So I guess I did have that somewhat in mind, but it's pretty hard to
3 minutes. It doesn't sound like much, but if you've got to like catch someone that is also running, like at a decent clip, it's pretty tough. Yeah, like
totally. But it was really neat to see her on course, and I imagine I saw her coming to you do that little dog leg across the road before going into the park, and she was just coming out as I was coming in. I'm not sure if she saw me. I haven't actually asked her, but I sort of saw. I was like, oh, it would be hard to catch, but I imagine she saw me as well and was like, no, I'm not letting.
Yeah, so good.
But she had a good lead, so.
Yeah, it's good to be racing so close, isn't it? And did that change the way that you raced, or were you still just within yourself doing your own thing, or was there a point that, right, it's on now, I'm going to throw the kitchen sink at this?
No, I did. Oh, I did, but that was like 200 meters to go, and she'd already finished. So,
okay, damn it.
I guess some of the speed freaks, I sort of said, "Oh, hey, I'm just coming out of Hanson Park," and they're like, "Oh, hey, Rose," and then they're like, "Wait, first place, just you better get a move on." I was like, "Oh, okay." So I guess at that point, I was running as hard as I could,
right.
and then I cleared the kind of hazard areas. I thought the most likely places to fall over were coming behind Herbert. Sorry, not Herbert, Bradley, or coming down the valley track. So it did mean things were a little bit funny because I felt like I had to, keep things a bit in hand to the bottom of the valley track.
Yeah, good job. What's next, Rose? What are you up to now that after this performance? Obviously, he's continuing to rehab the shoulder.
Yep. But it's definitely getting more fun now that I can do more with it.
Yes.
I'm pretty keen to give another nudge at the Craigieburn round, which is like 100k kind of just in the Craigieburn. So I did that December last year, anti-clockwise, which I reckon is the way to go. So I kind of used the fueling actually as a bit of a sort of different mode for that as last time. I think I did myself a bit of a disservice with the fueling, so I'd like to kind of improve on that.
Fantastic, nice work. Hey, thank you so much for joining us, Rose, and sharing your story. And well done on an epic finish. And second female and 11th overall is very impressive. You've done super well. So all the best for the next adventure. We look forward to catching up with you soon.
Cool. Thanks, Richard.
Well
Thanks,
Cheers, Rose. Cool. Nice work. And let's jump straight into Chris Pike, race director. You've been bad-mouthed a little bit on this podcast, Chris. Have you got any initial rebuttal in regards to dead cows and different size of gravel on the course and all those sorts of things? Temperature as well. That's another thing we're not happy with.
No, I think it's all great. It's great to hear, especially the dead cow. I wondered how many times people have mentioned this dead cow. Especially gravel. But I knew that was going to be impressive. That was going nowhere, and it was big enough when I first saw it. So it was going to be pretty large, or as Scott said, exploded by the time the race got there. So just lucky it didn't explode during the race. That would have been an impressive sight.
Yes, that's right.
But no, the course this year, the courses this year, I think Dwight Greaves on a podcast the other day said that he's going to put this down as one of his toughest ultras in New Zealand at the moment. So I was like, I'll take that accolade. That'll do.
Yeah,
so,
take that. And
that might be a little bit down to the heat as well. But anyway,
yeah, good stuff. Messages. If you post a message, we see those come up live. Grant Tools just said, "Impressively cruel man with that course design. Good work." So that's a good result. I'm sure that there's a lot of that. I mean, that's the adventure, and that's part of what you've enjoyed, isn't it, Grant? I'm just going to go and have an adventure. I'm just going to run my race and then see what happens, and that's what a tough course does, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous. Like I was just kind of laughing. I mean, I spent a lot of the run kind of laughing to myself, but you get up onto Gibby's Pass and you go through that little bit of single track in the trees, and then you pop out of the trees and it's like, this is ridiculous. Like the view, like looking, towards I guess Godly Head, all the way to the Sugarloaf, and it's just like, man, you forget how amazing it is, and it's just it's just up the hill there, like it's so close. Yeah, we're super lucky. It's really is quite fun and quite special to go having an adventure in your backyard like that. So
yeah, good stuff.
Yeah,
how much sleep did you get across the weekend, Chris?
I don't know. Can you see? There wasn't a lot. I'd say that. Yeah, it's been quite a few late nights and early mornings and a few panic wake ups and things like that. Did I do this? Did I do that? But yeah, so we'll catch up. Like I say, we'll catch up over the next few weeks. But it's all definitely worth it.
And that's part of the event as an event organizer. There's all this stuff going on underground, and people don't realize that that's actually happening. The duck on the water with the feet going like crazy, and as long as people see what that is, that's good. And obviously, there's only positive stuff that's happened here. So you must be pretty happy overall of how it's gone and how the event was executed this year as a step forward from last year.
Yeah, definitely. Like there's a lot of people behind the scenes that make this happen. But so yeah, give a big round of applause to all them. But yeah, the feedback we've got, like I've got people stopping me in the street, or like just they'll see Crater Rim written on something I'm wearing. They're like, "Oh, are you involved in? Oh, I hear it's absolutely amazing event this year." And so like that's a massive round of applause to everyone that's been involved to make that happen this year. That we're actually getting further out than just the running community. We're actually just getting into that public domain. Which is awesome to see that sort of support coming through.
No, so that's great to have that feedback, isn't it? Have you got a highlight of the event? Like, was there? I mean, I'm sure there's heaps of highlights, but something that stood out for you in regards to the event upon reflection?
God, there's so many. There's so many like small wins and big wins. I think being on the start line and seeing so many people line up on both the 53 and the 30k start line was pretty impressive. It was just a massive people heading off into the hills, and that excuse me, and just seeing that support from all them people who've put their name down on the list to stand on the start line, taking that training journey. Well, some people took the training journey, but Grant won it. I think there's a bit of a hidden thing with this this name that he's used as well. This sort of secret squirrel name and possibly some secret squirrel training there, Grant. I'm not sure. We'll talk about that off camera.
A little bit of training.
Talk about that off camera.
Hey, Chris, what was the split, if you know off the top of your head, or the most popular distance? I've had a few people ask me that the last couple of days.
It's balanced out. It usually is a 30k event, but it's balanced out. So it's between the 30k and the 22. But again, I think that could balance itself out with the 53 as well. If we had the capacity to get people across the harbour in the morning in a timely manner. So I had lots of inquiries for places and entries into the 53. That I just had to reject because we just currently don't have the capacity to get people across there in a timely manner. But yeah, definitely at the moment it's still the 30k is the most favourite, and 22k's just matched it as the second favourite.
Cool. So, nice. So the trail running community is a big part of this event, isn't it? And the volunteers, as you've already mentioned, a massive part of making this event so successful. Were there any sort of standout performers on aid stations this year? Because that is a big part of the event, isn't it? And there's definitely a lot of effort that goes in there.
There's loads. Yeah, all the volunteers we have all stand out in some different way, and all the I've constantly got reports coming back in saying I met this person at such a point, they did this for me, which kept me going in my event and kept me going in my race, and I met this person. But one that I got was a gent that I've been communicating with from Australia that came over. He sent me an email to just say cheers for everything, blah blah. He said I got to the Hini Tahi aid station and I was about to DNF. I'd had it in my head all the way up to that. Once I get to that aid station, it's DNF for me. He was in the 53K, sorry.
Yep.
DNF, I can't carry on. And he said he got there and he met a lady that helped him out, and she was brutally motivating. And I thought, that's great, brutally motivating. And I actually know, as soon as he said that, I knew the person was. I'll not mention who it was, but brutally motivating. I thought that's a great statement to make.
Yeah, that's good.
And he carried on and finished the event for the day, and he was so happy with himself. So yeah,
I'm sure we've all done that. Like you come up, I'm going to pull out. I'm done. I'm enough. And then you get into the aid station, and then you're fired up, and then you go around the corner, and then you're in tears because then you can't pull out because now you can't go back. You've just got to go forward. What am I doing? So that's so good, isn't it?
No, it's awesome, and there's lots of stories like that of being people ready to throw in the towel, and someone's just given a bit of kindness and a bit of help, and they've carried on and finished the day, and achieve what they set out to. So
I'm not surprised that the amount of people on course is so good. So it's not surprising to hear that.
Yeah, there's like those at the front of the field. We'll pretty much talk to 3 athletes at the front of the field today, and they're pretty amazing just the way they rip through the course. But aside from our 3 guests that we've got today, are there any other sort of key performances that really caught your eye, Chris? I guess at the point end of the field.
They are like the men's again in that heat. The times that they pulled out in that heat were amazing. So the 3 leading men there with Tom on the front. But again with the female class, that's so close there between Katie and Rose. We've got 2 minutes across that distance. I got out on course. We were taking a bit of water into the valley because people were getting pretty hot coming through the valley. So we ran up there with some water supplies, and we saw Katie come through, and then next minute Rose came through not long after, and I was like, this is awesome. It was awesome to be on course and watch them fly by as well. But just how close they were coming through the valley track was pretty impressive. So,
and you're super engaged there as a race director, aren't you? Like in terms of what's happening in the race and what's going on, and who's going good and who's not.
When Grant came across the line, that was impressive as well. And the conversation went, "Did you just win?" And he went, and the response was something to the form of, "That wasn't in the game plan," or "That wasn't supposed to happen." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, that's different." And then I actually look at the results, mate, and you won that fair and square. So that was an awesome run, mate. Good on you.
Yeah, good stuff. Did you check his little clip card to make sure he made it to all the course, the place of the course? So we checked that at all.
That's a very good point.
Okay, we'll just move on to it. That's right. Yeah.
I'll pull on my Strava.
Yeah, no, so those at the front of the race are amazing athletes, but and the Crater Rim is a very endurance challenge for those at the back of the field who are out there for a large part of the day. Is there anyone in the event that scraped through and just made it through the cutoffs and finished that you'd like to highlight, because it's completely different and it's just as impressive?
This is a difficult one. You don't know whether people want you to highlight these.
You're true. That is important. Yeah, but they finished, so that's good.
He's a good egg, so I think he's a supporter of the event. So he works for a company that supports the event, Sean, and I don't think he'll mind me mentioning him. I know he's on a big drive this year, entering a lot of events and getting involved all over the place. And awesome. I think Sean was the last across the line, but came across happy to achieve the distance in the day. And it's just so great to see people, especially see people achieve what they set out to. And so Sean was I think Sean was the last across the line, but still as happy as probably the first person across the line. So
yeah, and he's still got to make it through all the cutoffs that you've got there as well, and put his race together, which is super good. And at the bottom line of any event that we line up for, we say an A goal or B goal, but the C goal is always just finish. So that's awesome, isn't it, to actually make it across that finish line?
Oh, definitely for anyone that made it across that finish line in that heat on Sunday, was impressive. I was warm enough, and I wasn't even running. So,
yeah. Tried too hard for a warm day. Just make it a sunny day. And you obviously prayed a bit hard there, Chris.
Too hard. Too hard.
Yeah. Good stuff. Any final thoughts on the event for 2024 before we start looking forward to 2025?
Just usual from me. Thank you to anyone that's helped make it happen, and thanks to everyone that actually came along and gave it a nudge as well. Just an awesome experience to see. So, like the numbers we had this year, again, record numbers by a long way. It's just so great to see so many people wanting to go out and running the Port Hills, pretty much.
Yeah, and a big congratulations to you from myself and Grant and everybody that's involved in the event as well. Like, you do such a big job to put this together, which is absolutely fantastic. And just by having people coming up and thanking you, like, you deserve every bit of that thanks. So well done for all that you do. And hopefully when the dust settles a little bit, you get a chance to kind of just sit back and reflect, because this is positive stuff that is helping people and changing lives, and not just in the race, but also that community building stuff that you're doing in the lead up, getting those group runs out there and helping people that are local to Christchurch that haven't really been up on the Port Hills and haven't explored beyond Rapaki. This is awesome stuff. So keep up the great work that you do, and a big thank you from all of us.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Good job. Nice work. Well done, Chris. Thank you. You look after yourself, and we'll catch up with you soon, and look forward to entering the event 2025, getting amongst it.
Cheers, guys. Thanks a lot.
Grant Guise, will he be entering 2025, or will it be Thomas Grant again?
I don't know, man. I might have to go on another 5-year hiatus.
Yeah, dangerous. That's careful there. Another 5-year hiatus. It's you've still got it now, but another 5 years, will you still have it?
Well, yeah, it's debatable whether I still got it. I think, I think I could fake it, but that was, might be the limit of my faking it.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, so good that you had a good day out. That's the most important thing. And as you say, like, just go and run my race and pace myself well, good nutrition, and that's what happened. But any final thoughts from you, Grant, before we wrap this thing up?
Yeah, not really, man. Just I think you've probably touched on it all, Richard. Really cool race, really cool to see so many people out there. I always really enjoy when we meet into the 22K race and you get to see all these people, and you're running past all these people just have, out there battling away like you are battling away. Everyone's battling, and it's just fun to see all these people out on the course, having a good old time. And Chris and the team, they did an awesome job and do an awesome job. So definitely, if you're thinking about it, get along, enter it, but practice, do some training on some technical trails, because I think a lot of people that I talk to out of town, and even myself, are surprised by how technical the trails were. Have a fueling and hydration plan for a hot day.
Yeah, good job. No, nice work. Hey, big thank you to Scott, Rose, Chris, and yourself, Grant, for joining us today. Go and enjoy your next adventure. I hope you've enjoyed that. And until next time, we'll catch up soon. Cheers, team.
Awesome. Thanks, Richard. Cheers.